Yes, first off, I just want to say thank you guys for joining the call today. We are really excited, and I'm looking at Jantel in particular. We are really excited about today, and obviously just signing Jantel to a multi-year contract here with the Indiana Fever. It's been interesting because when we started this conversation last year, back in August, when we started looking at the trade and trying to get Jantel to our team, and Jantel's shaking her head, but this has been a process that has been more than just a year. It's probably been a couple of years, dating back to when Kelly Krauskopf was in this position. So we've been going after Jantel for a while, and of course, being from Ohio State, close to home, somewhat closer to home, closer to college, I suppose. But I think when you look at our team, and one thing that Marianne, our coaching staff, that we've continued to talk about is just having a championship culture and being able to create that and have the right people on board. And we're excited about Jantel. We're excited about her last year when we made the announcement. And of course, as we look at this year and getting into free agency, one of the things we knew, we had 5 free agents, and we knew that it was going to be tough. We knew that, trying to bring all 5 back was probably unrealistic. And, really looking at continuing to create our championship culture was something that we were really focused on. And we called and texted Jantel nonstop until she made that commitment, as well as a few other players. But I think we're really early in free agency, and it's easy right now to look at the first day and it's like, okay, there's a lot of movement going on. There's going to be a lot more movement going on in the upcoming weeks, and really until the season starts, until final rosters have to be made. And so I think just looking at the direction of the Indiana Fever, we've always been focused on our 3 C's: commit, compete, contribute. And that will lead us into winning a championship, which we are committed to and really focused on. So I think, thank Jantel, obviously, for joining our team, and for the other players that we've had. I mean, can't say enough just about Nat and Candace and, Erica Wheeler, and Kamaya. Really excited about their moves and their directions. When you look at free agency, one of the things is being able to have the freedom to explore options. And, that's a luxury I never had. Not that I ever really thought about leaving Indiana, but, I think when you look at our players and the places that they're going, the thing that I have continued to stress is I care more about people. Of course, what you're able to do on the basketball court, and going back to our 3 C's and thinking about our championship culture, I think the biggest thing for me, and hopefully for all of our players, is that what you do, and for yourself as an individual, of course, pulling into the basketball side, we will continue to build and create that championship culture. And I really feel like Jantel coming to our team is going to allow us the opportunity. We still have that young core group that we're going to build with. Jantel, when you get a chance to actually be in person with her, it's hard on the Zoom for you to really, unless you've been around her, for you to really get her energy and excitement. And, when she walks in the room, she lights up the room. Just the constant, encouragement for her teammates. I've watched her. I've never had the opportunity to play with her, but I've always watched her from afar and admired just the way that she carried herself as a professional. And so we are really excited about having her join our team, really excited for our young core group to be able to have that opportunity to have a leader like her on our floor. So I'm going to turn it over to Jantel, but, Jantel, this is the first time I've actually talked to her since we signed. Really excited about having you on our team. And, these are some of the people that will continue to follow us through our season, and some that have followed your whole career. So another page turns, another chapter begins, and we're glad that your chapter will begin in Indiana. Well, Jantel.
Thank you, Tamika. Jantel, if you would, please.
Thank you. Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you so much to the entire Indiana Fever organization, Catch, Tamika, Coach Stanley, everybody, Allison, for just believing in me. You have to imagine a player in my position being injured, not knowing what my future held, because I was going to be a free agent. The way my mind was working and how I was thinking, because I didn't feel like I was finished in this league. And just to have somebody who saw me in moments where I feel like I've had opportunities to show greatness, and then she's honing in on that, just fills my heart with gratitude and extreme humility. And I want to give my all, my ultimate best. I want to be the best version of myself, a version I haven't even seen in this league yet. All based on that belief. And I think confidence and all of those main words, believing in, confidence, just pushes players to another level. And I don't think I've had that 100% since I've been in this league. And to me, that's what carries me as a player. So I know that possibilities are going to be endless. The sky is the limit, no pun intended for last year, but the sky is the limit. And I feel like the things that I have left in me, the drive that I have in me is just what I want to give to an organization like this. And I want to be great. And they're speaking about, in the locker room, outside of the, out off the court, doing things. I love team. I love camaraderie. I love doing things as a group. And to have a group of people coming in with a positive attitude to play basketball, something that I love so much. Like I literally cannot wait. And the process that I'm going through now, I'm just wanting it to hurry up, but I'm just taking every day, each step at a time. I'm excited, I'm running. Like I just can't wait to get there and start building on the culture that Tamika believes in, Coach Stanley believes in, and the entire Indiana Fever.
All right, thank you, Jantel. We'll go to questions now for Jantel. Akeem, would you start us off, please?
Yes, Jantel, what was it about the Fever that attracted you the most to the team? Was it the young core? Was it playing for a GM like Tamika? What was it? What was one thing that drew you to the Fever?
That's a good question. I can take it way back. I've been interested in the Fever since 2014 when Tamika was playing, and I really, it's her for me. And a lot of times you see all these people tweeting and saying things about Tamika and how she's been and her energy. And to me, that's what I want to be around, especially. I want to exude the energy and excitement and the positivity that she exudes. And I wanted to be a part of that a long time ago. When I was in LA, 2014, 2 years before we won a championship, I told Penny, I said, hey, I want to go to Indiana. I'm ready to go and be with positive people who want to win, catch. I want to be around that energy so that I can be the best version of myself. When you have all this tugging and this pulling and having to deal with attitudes here and there, that's distractions outside of already what you got to deal with so much on the court. So for me, I just wanted to really focus and hone in on basketball and not have to worry about the outside noise. So yeah, back to 2014 was when I really wanted to come. But if I had to specifically say about this team, I love their drive. And a lot of times people get fixated on one moment. And for me, that moment was huge last year when they beat Seattle and they weren't full throttle. To me, that was so promising to see how hard they fought, how hard they worked to get that win. And they took that moment for what it was. It wasn't about tomorrow's game. It wasn't about that. And I like the fact that they celebrated that. They were working hard and they beat the team that won a championship last season without Erica Wheeler and without everybody being extremely healthy. And to me, that speaks volumes. And I want to be a part of hardworking people, a young talent, Kelsey Mitchell, Tiffany Mitchell, Victoria Vivians. I love the way that they play. I love their energy on the floor. And I just want to be a part of it.
Howard Megdal.
Thank you. And Jantel, congratulations. Welcome to Indiana.
Thank you.
As somebody who's done so many things in this league, won a championship and made an all-star team, and when you were thinking about where you wanted to go, I wonder how much legacy building played a part in it, and how much specifically going to a team that has in Lauren Cox and Tiara McCallum a couple of young bigs who obviously are going to benefit from your expertise.
That's a good question. And I did the same process, and I would not compare this to anything like college, but in college, I wanted to be a part of something that was that was being built. I didn't want to join something that was already established, if that makes sense, And I think that the Fever, obviously last year wasn't the best year, but I want to be a part of something where they're on the up, they want to learn, they want to get better, they want to do this. A lot of people in college were like, why did you go to Ohio State? And I was like, because I wanted to, but ultimately it was because I didn't want to go somewhere necessarily that was already like the top dog. You know what I mean? I wanted to see if I could make a difference somewhere. And it's not the same with this, but at the same time, I feel like these players play so hard and I want to help them. Like, I don't want it to be where they're fighting against their vet. I want them to be like, hey, here's the ropes. Like, this is how we do this here. For you to have extreme success in this league, conduct yourself this way. To have longevity, this is how you have to conduct yourself. You can't be eating that. You can't be doing that. I want to help them with stuff outside of just basketball. And I feel like I can do that without walking in like, hey, I'm your new leader. You know what I mean? It just comes natural because the league is fun. It's awesome to be able to play in a league, the best league in the world. And you shouldn't have to deal with other pool. We're a union, you know what I mean? It's only 120 something women. We should be, locked in. And I believe in that. And I think for us to push to have 20 more years, you have to have that type of leadership.
Thanks, Howard. Brad Brown.
Thanks, Ryan. Jantel, you are taking on the role of a veteran player on a relatively young team. How are you embracing that role as 2021 gets going here?
It's so weird because I always tell people, like, when you are like a natural leader, it's like you don't really think about that. It's so random. I remember back in 5th grade, I was just sitting at my graduation and my principal gets up and she makes this whole big long speech. And she was like, and the leadership award goes to Jantel Lavender. I was like, what? You know what I mean? It's like not something you're like, hey, I'm going in to be this team's leader. I'm just myself, you know what I mean? If I see where I can step in a situation and help somebody, it's not gonna be like every day, like, we gotta work today. It's just like when I see moments in time where I'm like, okay, she shouldn't be doing that like that. You know what I mean? That's when I feel like I'm gonna step in. So it's not like a stress or something I have to embrace. I feel like, rolling back to 5th grade, it was just like, what? I just take on things that I'm just like, she needs help with that. You know what I mean? I can help her with that, and I don't even want, Catch and Coach Stanley to think I'm going to come in and be like, hey, I'm the leader here. You know what I mean? It's more so just getting my feel, being around, and then just always evolves into that. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking about it. And I think that they're mature players that they have on the team already. So it's not something I'm like, they need guidance. You know what I mean? It's just, I've been there. I know what it takes to win a championship. I've seen so many different teams. So I can just tell you, this is the formula. You gotta, release results and relinquish all of that and just do what you're supposed to do every single day. Just that constant reminder, I think, and not letting people slip and start, taking shortcuts is what, I'm sort of trying to think of when I'm going into, the Fever.
Thanks, Brad.
Great, thanks. Welcome to Indiana.
Thank you.
Doug Feinberg.
Hey, Jantel, I'm just curious, how's your foot doing? Is it 100% recovered from the surgery you had? Are you back to where you want to be right now, or are you still working the way back, so to speak?
Yes, so my foot is completely healed. I have no fracture site anymore, which I'm extremely thrilled about. I saw my doctor 2 weeks ago and I was so nervous because obviously the first time around, I didn't really get the results that I was expecting. So just to hear him say, you don't have a fracture anymore, you can pretty much start running. You don't have to be here if you don't want to, but complete your progression to run with your surgeon is probably the best option. And I'm out in LA, I'm rehabbing every day. I go 4 times a week for 3 hours. So it's just like, I'm just pretty much working back up all the muscles that I didn't use for 3 or 4 months. And it feels great. I don't have any pain, I'm not taking any anti-inflammatories, and I'm great. So I'm super glad about, and happy about the way I've taken care of my body, throughout COVID, because a lot of people slipped a little bit, but I had my eyes on the prize and I was ready. So I knew that it was going to be a time where I had to work back up, but it's been great. Rehab is going good, and I expect to be released by the end of February.
Well, that's great news. Glad to hear it.
Thanks,
you.
Doug. Doug Feinberg, or no, I just want Doug. Pat Boylan.
Hey, Jantel, as you look at next steps here, what are you looking to accomplish next as it relates to the Fever and hopefully getting to know some of your teammates a bit better?
That's a good question. And I think that I haven't I think the main thing going into the Fever for me is just to be successful. And a lot of people define success in different ways. And for me is being better than you were the day before, is being better than you were the last season. And I think that that's what the goal has to be. You know what I mean? I already was in my car driving back from rehab to get on this call with you guys. And I was like, you know what? I think the mentality that we have to go into with this team is, don't listen to outside noise. Like, don't get on media. Don't listen to what people are going to predict on how they think we're going to compete. You know what I mean? I didn't do that anyway, ever in my career, but I'm just like, just let's focus on what we have here. And I think that we'll start to see results. I want to take it one step at a time and just work hard every single day. My goal is to be the best version of myself so that the Fever can be the best version of its organization self, however you want to put that.
Thanks, Pat. Anybody else have anything for Jantel? No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Jantel. We'll go over now for questions for Tamika. Akeem, want to start us off again?
Yes, Tamika, I know that Jantel is a veteran player, but with Erica, Candace, and Natalie leaving, is it safe to say that the Fever are going with a youth movement this season?
Safe to say that right now. Like I said earlier, team, we're still in the midst of trying to bring a few more players to our team. Obviously, if you look at our roster right now, we don't have 12 players, so that's a sure sign. But I think one of the things we've continued to touch on is our youth in the core group that we've had. And I think as I've come into free agency, as the coaching staff and I have looked at free agency, our main focus, and even as teams were asking, like, what are you looking for? Our main focus was leadership and really trying to find, and it's not just going to be Jantel. I mean, we're going to have to lead by committee. I think Jantel her voice, her presence, and who she is and what she's been able to accomplish. And Howard, not to put you on the spot, but she won 6th Woman of the Year as well. So we're going to put that in her bio, but I had to pull that out. But I think that we have some, Jantel is the beginning of free agency for us, and really a really important part, really important, player to what we're trying to build. And, we might add more. I mean, we have 6 draft picks. Do I envision all 6 players making our team? No, but I think that there are some college players out there that could come in and, could be effective here. And so we're working hard. I laugh and I smile, and I mean this in a good way. I'm exhausted. I think our staff is exhausted and how hard we've worked, but in a good way. It's been great, and being able to sell the Indiana Fever and just Indianapolis and what we have here as a city. I mean, I think we've announced some of the new things that we have: the Salesforce practice court, our Fever locker room, and just as we continue to build, we're working on a high performance plan for our players, where we used to be looked at as a 6-month franchise. We are really transitioning to a 12-month franchise, and being able to have the resources and all the things that as a professional athlete you need year round, and realizing that some players go overseas. So for our young players, we want them to go overseas, but we also want them to stay here and have those opportunities to get better and to work on their game, to develop. So young right now, young what we have in the core group, but I think, we'll continue to make some moves during free agency, and, we're going to put together a solid team for this year. I do not want to be in the lottery draft ever again.
Howard Megel.
Yes, and Tamika, thank you for flagging that 6th Woman of the Year award, because that pairs very nicely with my question, as a matter of fact. The fact that you could get somebody on the free agent market like Jantel, who has done as many things as she has done, but has done it in a variety of different roles. How significant was that, given who you have on your roster, given Tiara, given Lauren Cox, and how much did you see this as an opportunity to be building that foundation as well when you were thinking about targets for this offseason?
I think it was huge. It is huge to have Jantel as part of our team. And, when you talk about, and Jantel mentioned this, with Lauren specifically and Tiara being young, and being able to have someone like Jantel to show, like, this is how you carry yourself. This is how, from an appearance, how you speak. This is how on the court you take care of business. And I think the big picture is being a professional. This is how you're a professional. So no matter what happens off the court, when we come on the court and when we come to practice and we get ready for games, the professionalism is always there. How you carry yourself on and off the floor is always there. And I think when she comes into the locker room and just the announcement of Jantel, the clout she has already, she doesn't even have to say anything, but the energy that she comes in with will speak for itself. And so I think having Jantel on our team and really with the younger players, we're going to try to get Jantel out here. Tiara actually lives in Indianapolis. Kathleen Doyle just moved back to Indianapolis for the second half. She's not going back overseas. Lauren Cox is in and out of town, so she's still kind of in rehab mode. So being able to get Jantel here, we're going to try to get her here in March for a little bit and start building that core, start building that relationship. Because every single day and every single year you come in, you have different players. And that's something I would always tell our team as a professional, even as a player, this will not be the same team next year. So you take advantage, and honestly, during training camp, every day it could be a change too. You got players coming in, you got players going out, so take advantage of the moment that you have. And I think with Jantel and her leadership, and just because she's been through it, she can help nurture and really just help these young players grow faster.
If I could follow up on that, to have her as that solidifying force in the front court, as you're evaluating the moves you're talking about over the next few weeks, do you see it as an opportunity to add to the core that you have, or do you see it as there's obviously a wealth of young talent that you have on this roster already as, let's say, a backcourt equivalent to what Jantel is able to do to help create culture? What's sort of the area of focus for you between those?
But I'd say the biggest thing right now is culture and making sure that we continue to nurture the culture that we want. Championship mentality, and Jantel comes having won a championship, having so many other accolades to what she's been able to do as a pro and even as a college player. But I think for us, it really is, now that we have a strong culture piece there that can help, get everything hopefully sorted out in a sense, we'll continue to look at other players. And, I can't sit here and say that, we want the best players. We want the best players, and we're creating that championship culture. Does that mean that all the players we bring will have championship experience? No, but there is a difference between having a championship mentality and wanting to buy into the coaching staff and wanting to buy into the system that, that we put in place both on and off the floor. Those are the type of players, and players that want to be in Indiana. We have a great market, and sometimes I think we get dismissed because it is a smaller market, but I'm up for the challenge, and I know the coaching staff were up for the challenge. And we were supposed to host the NBA All-Star game. That will be coming back. We've hosted the Super Bowl. We're hosting all NCAA, the whole men's tournament. The list goes on and on and on. The Big Ten, men's and women's basketball tournament. The list goes on all the opportunities that we have in Indiana. So I think for us, it's really like we're going to find the best pieces, the best players that will come in and fit into our system that the coaching staff has put in place, and that will be great for our organization, both on and off the floor.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Brett
Howard.
Brown.
Tamika, you kind of answered it with the professionalism comment there about Jantel. So let me ask you about, you've got all these draft picks coming up and everything in these next few weeks. What's the next piece of the puzzle now that you've got a player like Jantel in place? Can you kind of go to step 2, step 3, step 4 of kind of where the big picture goes at this point?
Well, I think one of the biggest gaps right now is with Erica Wheeler leaving is a point guard, right? So we have Julie Alamond and we have Kathleen Doyle, and we need to have another player that can come in and help run this team from a leadership standpoint. Kathleen Doyle, she's still learning. Like I said, she's back in the States, and she chose to move to Indiana because she wants to get better. So we will continue to monitor her. They're working out, 3 times a week with individual workouts. So, we'll continue to build off of that and get her on the floor and hopefully to the level that we need her at. And I think after that, we're still kind of flowing to see. We have Julie Alamond, who this year does the European Championships, and she has the Olympic Games. So, we're still trying to figure out from the point guard position what that will look like. And, I think when you look at the post game too, now we have Lauren, we have Jantel, Lauren, Tiara, and, one of the other players that we're looking at is, obviously Betty, Bernadette Hattar, who we signed last year, and trying to figure her out if she's going to be able to come over this year. So a lot of things kind of like, it's like the domino effect, right? So the first part was getting Jantel. Second part is, looking at our point guard position now that we have that hole there. Third part is, Betty and trying to figure that part out. And if she comes, then that's great. I mean, having 6'10", you can't teach height. And we've been watching her she gets up and down the floor. And I mean, she's another young talent that I think would be great. Obviously pushing Tiara in practice, having somebody, go up against her that's her height. And, I think from Jantel's professionalism and just how she plays could really help Betty develop.
Doug Feinberg.
Hey, Catch, I got two questions for you.
Okay.
The first one, I mean, you alluded to it before that you really didn't have the chance to really be a free agent. Not that you ever would have left Indiana, but for the most part, you were cored or signed. Do you see the trend happening more that there will be more movement in this league as the new CBA, that their players may not spend their entire career in one city like you did? So that's the first question.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't know how to answer that question. I think, one of the things that Marianne and I, the coaching staff, that we've talked about is when you start looking at players and being in one market, you have the core and you have the opportunity to core players. Because I've been cored as much as I have, I don't know if I really would want to have to core a player. I think that I would look at, we want to do whatever we can in our market and whatever we can at our team to take care of business so that they feel and they know that at any point in time, we got your back in whatever move you want to make. And so from that core standpoint, from our organization, really looking at it, I don't want us to be a team that has to core players. I want it to be a team that players come and they don't want to leave and they love everything that we have in the organization, both on and off the floor, that they don't want to leave. I think the trend you'll see is, especially the next couple of years, anytime the new CBA comes, and especially with the jump in the numbers and opportunities, we get the opportunity now to give players marketing money. We get time off bonus. There's a lot of, and then the league has marketing money as well. So there's a lot of opportunity for the players to make some extra money. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the next couple of years, I think you'll see some movement just as players are trying to, and then we'll get back into, I guess, I don't know the word, back into a balance of, the CBA, the numbers, contracts, all of that. So I think that in next couple of years, you'll probably see some movement, more movement, and then it'll kind of balance itself out.
And then the second question, and I don't know if you answer or not, but did being in the bubble with everyone team being together this past season, would that help you as a GM sort of figure out leadership of players that you may not have known beforehand seeing? I mean, I don't know how much you interacted with them, but you probably saw them more in the bubble than you would during a season just because you play a team twice versus seeing them every day in the bubble and wherever they may be around. Would that help you sort of evaluate, hey, this person's a good leader because I saw them for 3 straight months and obviously it was not a great situation, but they made the best of it, or they were great leading their team. I mean, much of the bubble experience that way.
Yeah, I'd say definitely, Dougie. Being able to be up close and personal to players, and it's not just on the court, I mean, we go to the gym. It's not like there's fans there. So you go get your work in, and then you're back to the hotel and back on the IMG campus. And I would say that being in the bubble, it really kind of exposed good and bad for players and kind of some of the weaknesses that players have. But then it also showed some of the teams and, some of for us personally, some of the gaps that we had in our team. And that's why leadership was the emphasis for us and being able to pull our young team together. And, there's plenty of times I had like one-on-one conversations with our players and other players too. You're sitting in the bubble and kind of to your point, what are they feeling? How are they taking advantage of an opportunity when we get paid to play basketball? whether you're in a bubble or whether you're at home, you get paid to play basketball. And so some players took advantage of it and, really made the best of it, and other players not so much. So, really looking at our team, and with a young core base, we need to have players that love what they do, that want to play basketball, and that are willing, to Jantel's point, I just want to play basketball, that are willing to give whatever it takes to the team and being the best version of themselves for the team.
Thanks, Kat.
Thanks, Dougie.
Keem, you have another one?
Yes, Tamika, you mentioned her briefly, but Lauren Cox, how is she doing in her rehab, and Victoria Vivians as well? Do you expect both players to be 100% when the season starts?
Yes, we do expect both players to be 100%. Lauren is trying to find her way. She is healthy, but anytime you come from an injury, and Jantel can speak to this, anytime you come from an injury, trying to get back on the floor is the hardest part is getting in shape. And so she was here the whole month of January. She went home for the month of February. She'll be back in March to really start gearing up. And, one of the things coach has challenged her is you got to get in shape. And so spending this next month, getting your body together, getting back in shape, everything is healthy. Your body is healthy. So now it's just taking the next step and being able to get up and down the floor. I think as far as Victoria Vivian, she's overseas playing. She's playing great. We're looking forward. I mean, she's texted me, no lie, probably every other week. Her plan is when she gets back to the state to go home for like 2 or 3 days, and then she wants to move to Indiana and get ready for the season. So when you have players like that, and they're asking us to come into town, they're asking us to come into the market to get ready for the season, that's when you know you have a good thing. And that's what we want to build.
Looks like we got time for one more. Eddie White.
Yes, Ron, this is for Jantel. She's still there.
Yes, she's
Jantel,
here.
you still there?
Yes.
All right.
All right, Jantel, let's get serious here. Earlier you said Chicago is the limit. Guess what? Chicago was the limit. Now it's time to get the fever and get your fever going. Now listen, OH.
IO.
Okay. Now that's going to lead to my question here. Now listen to this. You played here in the WNBA. But you also played here. We had the Big Ten Women's Championships. This is a special building. This is a special state. What are your memories of Bankers Life Fieldhouse, and how excited are you to play in this building for these fans? You saw it as a collegiate. You saw it as a pro.
I told Catch when I was because I went to Indiana a couple months back, and I was like, I feel like that's my building, right? I mean, I've had so much success in there. I love that arena. I won 3 Big Ten championships in there, and I'm just ready to get there. I feel like it's another one of my home away from homes. You know how you have those arenas you feel extremely comfortable in? That's one of them.